Hey everybody, Crazy Cosmo here, coming back at you with episode 11 of Why Was It Cancelled? We're going to go way back today to 1985 for the show Misfits of Science. This one was requested early on, and honestly, the reason it's taken me so long to get to it is I'd never heard of it. Honestly, going back to 1985 is a little bit young even for me. I was only 7 years old. However, as I looked into this, I realized I really should have. You see, in 1985, NBC was looking for something to replace Knight Rider in its Friday night lineup. And so their network programming chief, Brandon Tartikoff, started talking to Marvel about possibly adapting the X-Men for the television. Ultimately, Marvel balked at the idea, deciding not to go with any TV adaptations until well into the 1990s. So they decided to come up with this show, which was kind of a workaround for the X-Men. However, this did prove problematic in their 90-minute pilot when they created a character called Iceman. It was very quickly realized that this could cause massive trademark issues with the Marvel Corporation, and so Iceman quietly disappeared after the pilot. It should also be noted that two prominent people came from this show, as you can definitely see Courtney Cox is front and center. However, the tall man in the back row ended up going on to play the man in the suit for the movie Predator. Misfits of Science was also interesting in that they were one of the very first television shows to do something interesting with their title sequence, rather than just having the main characters come out and introduce themselves to the audience. However, even with an interesting plot, a good core set of characters, and some interesting effects, even though they were pretty cheesy back in 1985, the show had a massively tall order from the moment it hit television because it was on right against the television series Dallas, which was an absolute ratings monster on TV. And when you consider really horrible stereotype jokes like having the 7.5-foot tall black man horrible at basketball, and yes, I am not kidding, or aping power straight out of the X-Men when you consider that Courtney Cox's power was telekinesis, causing her to be extremely troubled, or that the man standing next to her had the powers of shooting lightning from his hands in super speed, it was really only a matter of time before this show ended itself in legal trouble anyway. Oh, and lest I forget, the 7.5-foot tall man's power, well, that was the ability to shrink, and it caused him to lose his clothes every single time. But being up against Dallas ultimately brought the ratings down so low that the show was even canceled before it ended up airing its full complement of 16 episodes, being canceled after the 15th episode, leading it to be kind of an impromptu series finale. Though it has to be pointed out that were it not for this show, we may not have seen the comic book movies and TV shows of the early 90s through the modern day, so we do have to give credit where credit's due. Crazy Cosmo, signing off.